Hello, welcome to this tutorial. In this session we are going to be triggering our Cinemachine cameras almost in that the same light as that Resident Evil / there's another game as well that's just come out on Switch that's kind of just copied Resident Evil, begins with a C, can't remember the name of it. But I'll find a link for it and I'll stick it in Discord instead of just trying to hunt for it in this video and making the video about 10 years long. So at the moment I've got a really simple template. I've got just a floor that is static. I've got my player that's got a very simple movement script, and I've got my script here for that. So very simple. Not even calling up the rigid body, it's just sorting itself out with a nice bit of movements. So if I press play, I should have movement. So if I press forward, and what I'm going to do is, so I've got my movement there at the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some cubes, and these cubes are going to act as my triggers for the camera to change. I haven't even downloaded Cinemachine yet, so I'm doing this right from the start. And then let's just go. Let's call this. Let's just call this trigger, and then I'll duplicate these across. So what we'll do is and what I'm going to do is make them so you can actually see them. I'm not going to change them at all. So making sure that you can see them like this, so it's really clear where these triggers are going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 4 different triggers where my camera is going to change 4 different times. So for example, if we're taking that old school kind of resi feel where the player walks through an area within a level and the cameras change angles, that's exactly what we're going to be doing here, but in a very kind of basic form. So let's have trigger, and then we can go, let's just call that trigger 1, because then that won't confuse me for our code a bit later. And then that's just going to be called trigger 2. And then we can just drag this. So as our player goes through each of these triggers, let's just make sure they are actually our triggers as well before I make that mistake. Lovely. We are going to make sure, there we go, how long is that? So I might make our floor just a little bit longer. There we go. This is trigger 3. And eventually trigger 4. And what I'm going to be doing as well, it's going to be kind of 2 birds with 1 stone in this session, where I will change the cameras, but I will also show you other things and how versatile the cameras are within Cinemachine. So I now need to download Cinemachine because I haven't even attached my main camera to my player or anything like that, but I'm going to leave that all there because I want Cinemachine to sort that all out for me for my capture in a little bit. So let's start off with going to Windows, Package Manager, and let's go to Utilities because that's where Cinemachine lives. I'm only going to put in Cine. There it is, Cinemachine, install. Lovely. You don't need to download the samples. Don't worry about those. And we'll go from there. Lovely. Cool. So Cinemachine now should be installed. So I should be able to go to Game Objects. There we go, Cinemachine. And there we go. We've got all our bits and pieces from there. So first thing I am going to do is go to Game Object, go to Cinemachine and Virtual Camera. And this is going to be a camera for our player. So the first camera. So we're going to create like a 3rd person camera system for argument's sake. So what we can do here is that we now have our Cinemachine brain on. One thing I am going to do is make sure our player is tagged as player, otherwise it's all going to go wrong a bit later on and I'll forget. So on CMVR or VCAM1, in follow, we're going to make sure that we drag our player in initially. Boom, there we go. And then we can, under body, we're going to see if we can find, under body, we can look at Oh, it's right under there. Sorry, it's under straight. Instead of transposer, we can change to third person follow. There we go. Lovely, fantastic. So this might look a little, oh dear, can't speak, a little bit low. So we can't actually change the dampening for this. Why is that not changing? Maybe it's the rig. Let's just go Command and see with that and see if it's that. Oh, there we go. So let's change this to a more of a. There we go. A bit more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, God of War, third person-y kind of. And there we go. We've got a third person camera there and it's following. And it knows what it's doing, which is really, really nice. Cool. So what I'm going to do is let's just see if this works initially. These should all be set as triggers. Let's just press play to make sure my camera isn't going to go funny. And then there we go. I can walk through 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely. So we've already learned how to do sort of like one camera already because we've got a lovely third person camera there from our CMV1 camera. Cool. Wicked. So I'm just going to quickly save that. So the next thing we need to do, let's make, just in case, I always do this, I always make the, there's an aim somewhere. There we go. Here's aim. There we go. It's always going to kick off if we don't sort out the aim. Look at aim. Oh, okay. So we can just do the look at. So we can also drag in the player for that as well. Oh, let's put this as a funky angle there, which I'm not. Oh, okay. I'm going to ignore that. And then under aim, we can change this to it should be there. It is. I always forget where it is. Same as follow target, but there we go. So it leaves this alone. So any kind of warnings or errors, that's now gone away. That's what I wanted to do. Lovely. With the aim, I guess it's for sort of like shooting and stuff like that, or it's just showing how malleable that camera is really for other different things. But it can, especially if you do a build with that and you have that warning, it won't build, and then the cameras are just absolutely skew width. So make sure that you do that. Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do is set our second camera, which is going to be our first trigger here for trigger 1. So what we can do is go to Game Object, Cinemachine, and we're going to go virtual camera, and this will be called CMV Cam 2, which is perfect. We want to set the body and aim to do nothing. So as we've just known, we can go to do nothing, and we can go to do nothing. Cool, and this could be the view of our CMV2 camera. This could be it just from our third person shot. So if I went to just solo this camera, we can then go boom and then change to this camera here. So we can go from this camera to this camera, but we can do this by going solo, so we can see that third person view, and then we can change this to just this view. Or we can do a top down. Let's do a top down actually. So if I just change this here, remember we can do, just to show you how we can really experiment with these cameras. Cool. Actually, I might just top down it just for that section between the two triggers, which is here. Lovely. And then make sure I'm clicked on this, and we can go Game Object, Align with View. Fantastic. Cool. And then we've got those things to do nothing as well. Lovely. So let's think about doing a track. So doing a dolly track camera. Maybe we should do that for our next. Yeah, we'll do that for our next. Oh, actually, should we do it for this one? Let me think. Let's do actually let's do a dolly for this one. Actually, thinking about this, so let's just change this angle here to like. So it's going to just dolly between and move between these two angles. So let's just go align with view, because I'll forget. I'll do it and then I'll completely forget how to do a dolly camera. So what we need to do, if you haven't seen a dolly camera before, we need to go to create an empty game object, and we're going to name this track. And then on track, we are going to add a component, and we can call this our Cinemachine path. There it is, Cinemachine path. There we go. So it's just a little script that we can add on there. I'm going to leave this to it. So what I'm going to do is put this together and kind of explain what Cinemachine is doing. But you can kind of see already that it's created almost like this this straight line, or if you want to call it that, this track between these two areas of where the camera is going to work. And we can modify these as well. And I'll show you how we can modify that in just a moment. So in our scene, we need to set this path between triggers 2 and 3. So let's go, because this is our second camera, isn't it? No, this is our first camera. Oh, confusing myself now. Yeah, we'll keep it this. We'll keep it that. That's fine. That's the angle I want. So that's that one. Hit the first one. Hits the dolly. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's okay. Cool. Right. If we need to do another trigger camera, if I run out of space or time, that's okay. Let's. Oh, actually. Right. Okay. I'm going to leave this camera to like this, and then we'll do the dolly track one for the next one. This is what we'll do. Cool. So our dolly track, we'll move this. And what we can do, as you can see, as we move this, we can put this between 2 and 3. I'll keep what I've said here. Change this, and let's go. We should be able to see if we can scale it with the scale tool, or use our. Okay, that's cool. Cool. I'm not really too fussed about that path length, to be honest. We can change it though. Yeah, here we go. There we go. So from here to here, we can change the path length, so how our camera is going to dolly between. Okay, so that means we've got a moving camera between this trigger and this trigger. Okay. Cool. So with that, let's add a third camera in. I'm just going to leave the second camera, and my third camera is going to dolly. So let's just change this one really quickly. So it is actually looking a bit different. Smush that up between these two. Put that up here. Game object. And align with view. Lovely. And then track. And then we'll add our third camera for this one. So once we've done that, we're going to add a new virtual camera. So it'll be our third camera. Just want to get you really comfortable with these. So on our third camera, we're going to change the body to track to dolly. So the body to track to dolly. Lovely. And then it's going to ask for our track. There we go. Or our path, which is going to be our track. So we drag that into there. Lovely. So that should work. Cool. So we've dragged our track into our path on CM3, and then we need to set auto dolly to enabled. There we go. So it will auto dolly between those two tracks. So that means we have movement within the camera, which is really nice. And so what are we going to follow when we dolly around? Well, we are going to follow and I think we need to put it in the look at as well, as we're going to drag our player into both of follow and look at, just to make sure that works. And then we can sort that out from there. Cool. So, and then we need to then let's solo this. How is it gonna pop through? Oh, okay, so it's gonna pop through like this. That's annoying. So we can adjust this camera. See if we can just move it like this, or move our track. Okay, yeah, I see. That might work. Oh, actually, it's going to follow it, so it should be okay just sitting here. If not, we can always adjust it later. That's the beauty of Cinemachine. I'm going to leave it there just in case it does something really funny and weird, but that's absolutely fine. Cool. And then we've done the following, a look at, we've adjusted the path just in case. Let's add another virtual camera. Lovely, CM4. And then we're going to set the, so it's for this trigger here. So we're not try not get confused about our triggers here. So what we're going to do is set our body to, let me have a think. So what happens when you do videos on the fly? So we added our fourth camera, set the body to do nothing. Where's body? Body, do nothing. And then we are going to set our capsule for a look at. Let's just put player in here. Player. Cool. And then what we need to do here is I'm going to change this view, because it's this view here. I'm going to kind of do like a low angle view here. There we go. From this trigger. And then I can just go game object, align with view. Cool, that's fine. It looks a bit dodgy, but I'm just going to stick with that at the moment. And then the body is set to do nothing. The capture is looking at our camera, and the lens field view. Yeah, let's have a look at that field of view. So let's change this. We can, or actually, that could be like really close, couldn't we? We can make it really awkwardly close. There we go. That might be terrible, but let's have a look. Actually, what was it? 60. Let's just half it, just in case, to 30. Cool. So we can see the field of view there and see how that changes. Okay, so let us manage all of these cameras and everything that we've got going here. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click, create an empty object, and we are going to name it managers, because this is going to just manage everything that we have with all of our cameras. I suggest you do the same for when you're creating your Resident Evil kind of look challenge thing today. And then we can create our script. As you can see, I've already got a script folder. No, I've been terrible and not created a scripts folder. Let's create a scripts folder. Scripts. Let's drag player into there. Let's create a new C# script, and we're going to call this camera. If it wants to play ball, come on, camera manager. Cool, and then camera manager is going to jump into our manager's game object. Lovely, just make sure it's gone in there. Lovely, let's open this script and have a look. Cool, so first things first is that we're using Cinemachine. So when it comes to timeline, it's playables. When it comes to Cinemachine, it is just called using. Why is it not popped up? I hate when it doesn't pop up. Oh no, why are you doing this to me, Cinemachine? No. Right. I don't know why that's done that. Maybe I do need to download those samples then. Why did that not work is my thinking what we can do. Let's go back into here. Let's quickly download those samples in case I was wrong earlier. Cinemachine example scenes. Oh, it's only an example scene. That's not like an extension. Well, that is worrying. That has popped up as red. So it's using Cinemachine cannot be found or missing directive. Interesting when I'm physically using it. Very interesting. What's a boy to do? Packages. Let's have a look in packages. It's there. It's physically there. So why is? Maybe I need to just quickly save this, close Visual Studio, and then hopefully, otherwise I'm just going to get a field of errors when I open this up. For Cinemachine should be fine. I haven't spelled it wrong. Come on, work. Cool, lovely. It's talking to me. Maybe it was just a Visual Studio thing, but now it's definitely talking to Cinemachine. That's weird. Maybe it's just a bug thing. Cool. So first things first is that we have a number of cameras, don't we? So let's sort these out as an array. Probably the easiest thing to do. So we can go public game objects because that's what they are, and we can call these. Let's make sure we do array, and then we can say cameras. That's probably the best thing we can do. If we save these, jump back into Unity, and then what I'm going to do on the managers is just going to stick these cameras in straight away. So as you can see, we've got 4 cameras. So if we put 3, oh no, we actually need to write 4, I think, and then we'll have 0 from 0. There we go. So our first camera is VM1. Where's VM2? Is that VM3? VM3, VM2, and VM4. Lovely. So we've got our 4 cameras in there, and we can quickly save that so we don't forget to do that later for our array. So let's go back into here. Do we need anything else? Do we need update? Let's say no for now from the top of my head. So what we do need is we need 2 public methods that we're going to create. And the first one is going to be resetting our cameras back once we've gone from one trigger to another. So we can call this reset all cameras. And our next one we can call set master camera. So we are telling to reset all the cameras back into the original position if we go through the triggers again. Plus we need to say, hey, you are now the main camera. Can you pop out please? So we can set our master. Let's set that as the master camera. So let's go public void set master camera. It's as simple as this. And then we'll do a trigger that talks to these methods afterwards. Cool, so for starters, our master camera needs to be an integer because we need an integer later of an order of the cameras that are going to come in. So we could skip 1 trigger and go to 2 and then do 4 and then do 3 and then do 1. So if we pass in an integer here of cam, or you could write camera, it then knows what those numbers are and how to order those numbers, or put them into order and put the triggers into whatever order. So this is why we're passing this in here. So let's do resetting all the cameras initially. So let's do a for each loop, and that is going to be we can do a variable of, let's do variable of C in cameras. Oh, I can't spell. There we go. And then we can say C is equivalent to getting our component, which is going to be the Cinemachine camera itself, because we need to reset these. And we're looking for Cinemachine virtual camera. Can't see it. Let's just scroll down our list. Where are you? Come on. It's going to be so annoying if I can't find it. Oh, it must be here somewhere. There it is. But Cinemachine virtual camera. And then all of these, let's go to priority, and then the priority is going to equal 10. So almost like the layer numbers that they're all going to be. So if we quickly save this, we need to make sure they're all on priority 10, which I think they are as default, but you never know. Let's have a quick look. So if we click on C and camera ones, we can see that priority is 10, priority is 10, priority is 10, and priority is 10. Lovely, fantastic. That's absolutely fine. We can sort that out because the script's going to change the priority. So if I just suddenly change like camera 4 to 11, then it's going to be the main camera, okay? Because it's going to have priority over the rest. But we're going to set them all the same. The code is going to change the priority or set the priority, as we can see with this line of code here. And again, we need to do a for each loop because we have multiple cameras, okay? So for each one, each camera is going to be set to a priority of 10. Nice and easy. And then what we can say here is that cameras for our master camera, we're going to start from camera 0, which is obviously our VM cam 1. So we then can then say get component. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. And then we can grab our Cinemachine component again. So Cinemachine virtual camera. And then just to make sure it works all properly, when the new master camera is set, the priority for this camera is going to be set to 15. There we go. Lovely. So save that. We need to make sure that all of our cameras are initially prioritized to 10. They are by default, but depending on the version of Unity, depending on the version or install of Cinemachine you are using, just double check that priority is set to 10. So we can come out of here. This shouldn't give us any errors because it isn't within the script itself. Lovely, cool. So we've set all our managers in here. We've got all our 4 cameras. That's good. We now need to create a new script that's going to be the trigger itself, and then that can speak to our camera manager. So we'll call this camera trigger, camera trigger, camera switch trigger. Let's change it up a little bit. Cool, lovely. So this shouldn't need to use Cinemachine, but I'm not always right, but we'll have a look. Cool. So what we need to do, let's call up that script, because then that will not need us to use Cinemachine again. So if we say private camera manager, so this is our camera manager script. We're talking to this, and we'll just call this cam manager. Lovely. So we could talk to that script. We'll call it up and get component in a second, or find the game objects within start. Do we need anything else? Oh yeah, we need the camera order. Public integer, and we can call this select camera. Cool. So this will select the camera order. And then this is why we're passing in that integer that now lives in here of camera. Cool. So for our start, we need to grab that component, don't we? So cam manager is equal to, let's do game object.find. Game object.find, we're looking for managers. Probably shouldn't be using a string, it's heavy. But I can't think of another way to do it at the moment. Get components, and then we are looking for the camera manager script. There we go, fantastic. Lovely. And then within, we don't need an update because we need a trigger, don't we? That'd be smart. So we can call this on trigger. Let's do on trigger, enter. And let's keep it nice and light and simple. If other tag is equal to player, which we did right at the start to make sure that our capsule or our player was named player, we can then say we can call up our camera manager and call up these two methods from here. So first of all, we can say camera manager dot reset cameras. There we go, and then we can say camera manager dot set master camera in that order. Oh, it doesn't like that because we need to add the integer of select camera. There we go. Cool. Let's save this script. And again, this is like massively. You can add cameras to this. It's not a one continuous script where you need to keep controlling it and creating it. You can just have your camera manager control everything with just a couple of lines of code, because the for each is counting the amount of cameras within the array. Maybe if you change scene, but you would need to add this script into another scene, but this can hold hundreds of cameras and absolutely fine. As your player walks through your scene, you don't need to have a script on per camera, but unfortunately you do need a script for the trigger. But I suppose you could then change this into a scriptable object. But then you probably need a scriptable object on per object, so it could be a bit heavy. But probably scriptable objects are a bit lighter on optimization. But I don't know, depends. Let me know what happens. Cool, let's save this and have a look how this works. Okay, so if we press play, let that save through. Let's have a check. Oh, hang on a minute. What's happening here? So, got no triggers kicking on. Let's have a look. So, but we do have that dolly camera working, as we can see here when I move. So the triggers are working, but something isn't with our cameras. So if we press play, and then on our, if I move forward, move for our first trigger. That's all right. Let's look at the camera. So our first trigger should then prioritize. I remember. Okay, so our priority has gone to 15. If we have a look at our script, if we come out of play very quickly, I can see the error of my ways. We can see here, or I even clicked on it, we can see that only camera 0 from our array. So if we have a look at our array, so in our managers, it's only setting this camera 0, so our camera 1, to our priority of 15. So we need to pass in the select camera. So because we passed in cam, which is talking to select camera here, so it's passing an integer of a number of cameras. We've only said 0 at the moment, so here, oops, not right clicking, I just need to say cam. Google the integer of cam here. So let's take this out and write cam. Lovely, fantastic. Let's save this. Jump back into Unity, let this compile. Drag it up, press play. And now hopefully everything will work. So this is our initial third person camera. So first trigger, bump, there we go. It's nice and smooth there, as you can see. It's gone our above view. Second trigger, dunk. This should be our dolly. So look at that, that's nice. Nice and smooth dolly cam there that we have set. Now this should be our low down weird camera that we have. And if I zoom out within our scene, you can actually see that camera actually kicking in there. So I click back into this, you can see that dolly camera working really nicely here. And then if I go dunk into our last one, we've got this really weird low angle shot that we have. And then I've clicked into our last trigger, and our last trigger is here, going back to our third person. Cool. So that should Oh no, is it? Some of them might go back. There we go. That one's going back to our. So this should. Ooh, gone back a little bit too far. Let's go back this way, and this should go back to our dolly, and this should go to our. Oh no, because that's our high view. Cool. So I probably need to have a normal trigger set put at the start. But as an example, very, very nice. So let's just play that. Again, let's play that on maximized. Press play. So the first trigger is our high up view. So if I look at this, go dunk. Whoa, nice transition. Lovely. Fantastic. And then our next view is going to be the dolly. So bump. That dolly is following us. So it's that follow cam dolly, which is really nice. And the next one's that low view, and then we can see this low view kicking in here. Lovely. And the last camera should be our bump back to our third person. Fantastic. Cool. So I will put the challenge below, but essentially I want you to create almost like tight corridor rooms maybe, or get inspiration from a couple of the games that I've put below within the Discord. And then go from there of creating your own kind of Resident Evil horror third person old school style camera, and list them as many as you can. Again, this could be a way of selling your game, putting this game across for your final FMP, but overall I think it's really cool and really nice simple scripts as well, without a billion different triggers. It's only one speaking to an array of different cameras. Cool. See you soon.